Good evening, Aviar Oak sixth grade families. This is Mr. Eshelman, assistant principal. Just wanted to share some information regarding sixth grade camp. I know that the camp itself is upcoming rapidly and wanted to make sure we're all ready to go and I can get you some information. So first of all, just wanted to share, I know this is for many of our sixth grade students, could be their first time spending some time away from home and away from their families. I just want to assure you that we've got a great camp staff that'll be heading up to Marston this year. I myself will be up for a day. We're going to split it up as an admin team and counseling team to head on up there. I'm also a product of Carlsbad Unified Schools and can say that although I did not attend Marston, that my sixth grade camp experience was truly something that I remember to this day. The connections and friendships that I made were certainly ones that I valued at that time and can recall even now as an adult. So I know that I know there's some anxiety about sending our students up to camp, but please rest assured that we've got a wonderful staff that'll be attending, including we do have teachers that'll be going up to camp this year. And we also will have, for our special education students, we'll have folks with that expertise and also some web leaders. So we'll be bringing some eighth grade students and one of our web teachers to help make sure that those students our sixth graders feel welcomed and connected up at camp. So we're going to go over some information tonight. Just want to make sure you have all that available and try to answer any questions. I'm also here to answer questions individually if they come up. So the first thing I wanted to point out is this health history form, which can be found on our camp page, and I'll show you that in a second. This is also available in our front office. We really need this turned in. In order for students to attend camp, we have to have this in our person. Please make sure you fill it out completely. Give us as much information as we can have, and then drop this off in the front office with Miss Rawlings. That's our school nurse. You can have students provide that to Miss Rawlings, but we need this in person by Friday, September the 8th, by the end of the school day. And this is the ticket to go to camp. So please make sure that students are accessing that. Now, how can you get this online? On the Aviara Oaks website, if you go into the drop-down menu and look up the camp page 2023, there will be a lot of information on here related to camp. There's an FAQ section as well. There's information on how you can pay for camp, information about how to submit this information, and all the way down at the bottom, you'll see a link to the health and permission form. This is what we're asking for, again, that you submit that. So please make sure that you are looking into that. If you have questions, please email me. If you're looking for how to pay for camp, you can pay in person. You can also pay online. This link here takes you to the Aviar Oaks Middle School web store, where you will scroll down and find a link for Camp Marston, and you can pay that right here. So if you're interested in paying for camp online, this is the link to do so, and you can pay that right there. All right, so let's talk about a little bit of information related to sixth grade camp. We are going up to Camp Marston. Dates there at the bottom, September 18th through the 22nd. We're excited about getting our students up there and having a grand old time. So the first thing that we want to make sure we do is make sure that our medical and health team has as much information as possible about your students. So if there are dietary restrictions for students, please make sure that you include that on that medical information. And that way our staff can communicate to the Camp Marston staff. They do a great job of separating food, making sure that students that have those dietary restrictions are going to be accommodated for. They're going to make sure that that those students have that separate meal and we can accommodate all of those needs. There also, please indicate on that health form if there's any medications. We're going to send a separate email out next week related to this. There will be a medical truck that brings medications up to Camp Marston. It'll be given directly to their health staff so that those can be distributed as needed and as appropriate to students up there. If your student has a medical situation that requires particular snacks throughout the day, please make sure that's indicated on the health form. And then Ms. Rawlings can communicate that to Marston as well so that students can have that. Now, one thing that will be in this presentation, but I'll just reiterate it here, Camp Marston is requesting and requiring that students provide a negative COVID test within 48 hours of their departure to camp. This is not a CUSD requirement, but rather a Camp Marston requirement. This is a rapid test, not a PCR test. We are currently working on gathering some COVID tests to distribute to families if needed. We'll also communicate to you the process of submitting those results within that 48-hour time frame, so that our campers can head up to Camp Marston. So we'll have some more information out about that soon, but I did want that to be on your radar. That is something that Camp Marston is requiring of us this year. Okay, so something to be mindful of is the weather report. So as we get a little bit closer to September the 18th, I want you to make sure that we're looking both at the daytime temperatures as well as the evening temperatures, so that you can pack clothes appropriately, make sure we're bringing lots of sunscreen. One thing to note is up in the foothills of Julian, outside of Julian, it does get a little bit chillier than here on the coast in the evening time. So making sure that we have both clothes for the daytime and for the evenings. So some information about when we'll be heading out and when we'll be coming back. So camp starts on the 18th of September, and how this is going to work. So on day one, families are required to park up on Ambrosia. We will not be allowing families for camp to park in our parking lot. This will be a regular school day for our 7th graders, our 8th graders, and those staying behind. So we are requesting that you park up on Ambrosia. You may walk down with your camper, and you can bring them all the way up to where the e-bikes are typically parked on campus. At that point, we would ask, and I know this is a really difficult part, but at that point, we'll ask that you send our camper to the registration table, which will be down the stairs near the quad. At that point, students will be checked in, and they will be given a wristband at that point. They will be given a color-coded wristband that does associate with the cabin they're staying in. It also is going to be linked up with a tag, a piece of tape that will go on their luggage. So this way we can keep the campers, our students, and their luggage together. Their luggage will travel with them. When they get up to Camp Marston, luggage will be separated by those color codings, and then they'll be reunited with their bags. So students will write their name on that tape, and then they'll be able to pick up their luggage from there. If there is any need for medication, as we mentioned, there'll be a specific bus to transport not only students with medical needs, but also that medication. So students will go down to registration in the quad. They will be given their specific wristband. They'll tag their luggage. They'll then head into the gym where they'll be lined up and organized and get ready to head out. Parents, you're welcome to hang out by the gates, but we do ask that you keep that space clear on the campus, as again, we are getting ready to start the school day on that day. Students will return on Friday, September the 22nd. We will keep you posted on the progress of the buses as they're returning. We will post using Parent Square and let you know. The typical ETA is between 12 p.m., noon, and 1 p.m. But as I mentioned, we'll be sure to send out notifications so that you can come and pick up your camper. Now, different than drop-off, parents will be allowed on the day of pickup to come down onto campus. We will make sure you have access to the gym to pick up your camper. Now, a couple things to be aware of for that. When you are picking up your student on the 22nd, you will need to have your driver's license to verify you are the person picking up your student. So we are going to follow those same rules for checkout. Make sure you have a driver's license with you. If you are working and sending someone to pick up your student in your stead, please make sure they are someone in Aries who's approved to pick up your student from school. And again, they must have their driver's license as well. If you have questions about how to update your Aries list of contacts and who can pick up your student, please email me and I'll make sure that we get you connected on that. If you are not able to pick up your student at the departure time, which is, again, between noon and 1, those students will be supervised here on campus until 2:20, and then we will release them same as we would on a normal school day. So there's been some questions about students that are not attending camp. And while we do encourage and want as many people that can attend camp to go, we also know that we'll have some students that'll stick behind. That's totally fine. So we're going to try as best we can. We've devised some curriculum to try to mimic what's going on up at camp. So while Camp Marston is designed to provide curriculum which centers around getting students into nature and environmental science, there will be some curriculum that's provided for students who hang behind. Students will be provided a schedule. This will be available for pickup on Monday, September the 18th, outside the counseling office. And then students will be assigned into particular classrooms. So the goal here is to make sure that students who go and students who stay behind are on the same schedule, and no one gets left behind or gets ahead. All right. So let's talk luggage and bedding real quick. Now, when students travel up, they are allowed to bring a small duffel bag or a suitcase, as well as a sleeping bag or bedding. This will be for their bunk. If a student does want to bring a personal blanket, that's A-OK. Just make sure that those things are able, so easy for us to track and for students to take with them. We encourage families to label everything, not only with your first name, but also with your last name, so that we can make sure we keep those items to that student. There'll be a lot of students going up to camp. So again, please put their first name and last name on all of your belongings. If you're looking for a list of what we suggest you bring, that is available. I'm going to link this presentation as well as the slideshow, and I'll send that out in Parent Square so you can take a look at this at your own time and pace. But this is a suggestion not only from us, but also from Camp Marston of some things to bring up to camp. I'd like to just highlight the fact that there will be some sunny days up there, and it could be some warm temperatures. So make sure you bring extra sunscreen. I know that I do when I'm going up to camp. So please make sure you bring extra sunscreen for you as well. So we do have some suggestions on what not to bring as well. So you can look through this list. One suggestion there for food: if it is a medical emergency or part of a student's medical plan that they have snacks throughout the day, again, that's fine. Just make sure that's communicated with our health office. And then the big one here, which we underline, which I know is going to be difficult, but we are requiring that students not bring cell phones along the way for the trip. If you are looking to communicate with your student, we certainly have emergency communication, but we do have the ability to connect with Camp Marston. Their staff is wonderful with that. But we're really trying to get campers to disconnect and leave those phones behind so they can get out into nature, really enjoy all of that. So general school rules would apply here. And again, we're requiring that students really disconnect. So Camp Marston has over 60,000 students each year that come up to camp. They really have got this dialed in. And I know that that there might be some anxieties about not being able to get a hold of your student. We'll make sure that we provide you in a separate email with some communication and phone numbers should you have the need to communicate with Camp Marston directly. If you would like to bring a disposable camera, that is totally fine. So feel free to bring on that. I know there's been some questions in the past about the camp store. That will not be available for students, so no need to bring any cash for students. Money is not a needed item. And again, just a reminder that there should be no cell phones up at camp. We will take those from students. And then I know there's kind of some, what if my student wants to come home in the middle of the week? They're feeling a little homesick. Just so you know what the protocol is for that, we will have our camp staff reach out to you directly with that. You would be responsible for coming up to Camp Marston and Julian and picking up your student and returning them back here to Carlsbad. Our transportation will be on Monday and Friday only. All right. So the idea here, looking into nature and understanding everything better, we really want our students to connect with others, get to know and build friendships with other students, and really just trying to kind of build that connection with nature. So help us to kind of connect in that ideology and really celebrate a wonderful week for students. So just some final reminders. Again, we need this Camp Help History form in our possession by Friday, September the 8th. Please make sure you're filling this out, especially if there are any dietary restrictions or there's a space here for that, or medication, so that way we can have that. I'll send out some more information regarding COVID testing, pickup, drop-off, and make sure that that is clearly communicated to you all. I'm certainly here to answer any questions that you might have. And we're also going to try as best we can to update you on what's going on up at camp by posting on social media. So feel free to follow us along on our Instagram page, and we'll try to post as much as we can. So we really appreciate your support and getting our kiddos up to camp. This was certainly a memorable experience for me, and I know it is each year for our sixth grade students. So I just want to make sure that any questions you have, you can put your anxieties at ease and allow your kid to have a wonderful experience. So thank you very much. Please let me know how I can help.